RFK Jr. is making waves. I support it, and I think you should too. A study published on the Rolling Stone website shows that 3,662 registered voters were polled in this particular study. 34% selected Kennedy. Wow. Compared to the 30% that chose Biden and 29% that chose Trump, that's a complete majority. He's leading, and it makes sense. He's proved time and time again that he's a man of his word, but I'll get into that a little bit. There's another study I want to cover first that reflects the one published by the Rolling Stone. Quinnipiac University did one where 1,610 self-identified registered voters were polled, and 38% selected Kennedy. Whoa. 32 selected Biden, 27 selected Trump. That is ridiculous, but a good ridiculous. We're not having to select between the lesser of two evils anymore. There's no middle ground until now. I think RFK is the last true Democrat, and many would call him the last true Kennedy Democrat. I mean, he's a Kennedy. What do you expect? Though there's been a few worries in terms of his support from the Democratic Party because he was kicked from the race. Well, first of all, it was completely undemocratic the way the Democratic Party did it. It's pretty ironic that the Democratic Party did something undemocratic. He had no chance at competing because when the Democrats found out that RFK was running and had leverage and had support that could threaten Joe Biden's reign, they called off the primary elections. Kennedy was forced to abdicate the primary seat for the Democrats to Joe Biden. Because how are you going to win if they don't hold an election? That is literally like a dictator move right there. That is some Putin, Kim Jong-un type, I don't even know. RFK took all of the people who supported him with him from the Democratic Party. And the Democrats see that as a big threat. Big enough threat that 3 attempts on his life were made already. People were broken into his house. People were coming up to him on the street. He's a Kennedy, and he hates the corporate corruption that has infiltrated the Democratic Party. Honestly, it's no better on the right either. Nikki Haley and her relation to the military-industrial complex, her being a warmonger, her completely supporting all these foreign wars and us spending trillions upon trillions of dollars on boosting our military and sending our sons to die overseas for a conflict in the sandbox of the Middle East. No, that's horrible. The Democrats are completely bought, according to RFK, which I agree with. He is the only presidential candidate that has been denied Secret Service, especially after attempts on his life were made. They just don't care. They want it to be an accident, or maybe an accident to happen first, or just a random murder to happen first. Just, I'm not going to get too much into that. I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on just yet. If he's still in the race, after 3 times something could have happened to him, and he's not scared, what does that tell you? This man wants to combat the corruption. He wants to do what Trump said he would, but failed to do. Trump said he'd drain the swamp. He didn't. Matter of fact, he strengthened it. He put associates of Pfizer in charge of the Public Health Administration. Are you kidding me? He was supposed to combat Big Pharma. All these pharmaceutical companies that have a grip on the economy when it comes to anything like life-saving drugs. He didn't combat that. He encouraged it. And RFK wants to change that. Why? And people will say, oh, well, Trump, he'll do a better job the second time. Why give him a second term whenever he failed the first time? and incited an insurrection on top of that. Whenever he was childish, threw plates at the wall, threw ketchup on the floor when he found out that he didn't win the election. That is childish. That is horrible. And that was just that was a long time coming. And I supported Trump. I was a Trump's boy until January 6th. I support Kennedy. He said he was gonna drain the swamp like Trump said he would. I actually believe Kennedy would do it because he's spent his whole life in this system. His father was murdered. His uncle was murdered because of their opposition to the establishment, to the regime that's corrupt. He knows in and out what needs to happen. And he's got people on standby ready to fill those positions in his cabinet and his administration as soon as he gets into office. He wants education reform, which is my biggest, you will come to know that my biggest passion for reform is education. If we have a smart, intelligent, and common sense filled young generation that rise up and know what's happening in their own country, in their own environment, and they know what's good, what's bad, what they should do with their money, how the economy works, how their own political system works, what their government can and cannot do. This generation that has all this knowledge will do tremendously and will work wonders in the country of the United States. Because if our kids don't know better, then those kids will grow up to be adults that don't know better. Some reasons I feel like the older folks are not showing as much support for Kennedy as I think they should be or they want to be is because they're pessimistic. A lot of people I talk to that are not Gen Z, millennials and higher, their view is, well, Kennedy doesn't have enough support to be president. We don't know what he's going to do. We know what Trump and Biden's going to do. We need to vote for familiarity rather than something new. We need to, I don't want to risk taking votes from either Trump or Biden, whichever one, and just throwing it at the wall, hoping that Kennedy will get it even though he's not. That's an awfully pessimistic way to view it. Because if everybody thinks like that, of course he's not going to win. If you just put your foot down and everybody who wanted to support him or thought he was a good option, actually, if everybody who thinks that actually votes for him, he can win. The pessimistic attitude of the past generations are just, I understand, I get it. People will argue that, oh, it's wisdom or it's, I've seen all this, I know how it goes. But does it have to go that way? No, it doesn't. Yeah, of course we know what Trump's going to do. He had a chance the first time to do what he said he was going to do, drain the swamp. He didn't do it. Biden made all these promises. Oh, we're going to improve student aid. We're going to cap insulin. You're going to do all this stuff. It's coming to the last portion of his last term of the last portion of his first term. And now he wants to do everything. Now he wants to fix student aid. Slow my process down, a college student. Slow my process down to get all my financial aid stuff done. Slow the process down for the Department of Education to send out the FAFSA forms to the schools so they can get my financial aid offer processed. I should have gotten this in February. I got it a week ago of the time of me publishing this. I don't want somebody who says they're going to do all this stuff and just doesn't do it. And I also don't want somebody who waits till the last second and gets it done sloppy, makes it a rigorous process for all the other people, who voted for him because they expected him to do this stuff, when he got in, not whenever he's getting out. There's a lot of stuff that could have gone better and I think will be better under RFK. Gen Z agrees completely. Like I said, 34% in one poll selected him, 38% in the other by Quinnipiac University selected him. I mean, that speaks volumes to me. Trump, he said, he wasn't going to shut down the country. He wasn't going to, cave in and shut down the country. What happened? He got rolled by his bureaucrats that are sitting to his left and right. We elected him thinking he could stand his ground. He couldn't. RFK can. He's already proved his mettle. He's still in the race after he was politically disenfranchised from having a good shot by the Democratic Party. He still has the support he has now. And he's getting more and more by the day. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I think it's finally time we realize what George Washington told us in his final letter to the United States before he left his term as president. He said, don't form political parties. Don't become a partisan government. But we did it anyway. After 300 years, a little bit less than that, I think it's time for us to realize what he said and make a change. Let's not have to choose between the lesser of two evils anymore. Put caps on super PACs. If you don't know what a super PAC is, it's these organizations who can donate an outrageous amount of money to certain candidates they want to vote for. PACs can have a limit that, but that limit is exponentially higher when it comes to super PACs, and it is in my opinion, unconstitutional. And that's what RFK believes. That's what I believe. And that's why I'm voting for RFK. And that's why I think you should vote for RFK too. It's time for elected officials to be held accountable by their constituents and to be transparent and to vote for what their constituents want them to vote for. That's why we voted them in the first place. That's all I got on this topic. Have a great day. See you in the next one. Vote independent.